Welcome to Quick Shots, a short format traditional archery podcast, where we introduce you to some of the world's most influential traditional archers, and occasionally, some random dudes. Check out CD Archery, performance ILF risers for hunters to world champions. cdarchery.com, made right here in the United States of America. Don't forget to check out our sponsor, archerypass.com, for all your traditional archery needs. Hey everyone, welcome back to Quick Shots. I'm your host, Mick Chambers. I'm here with Tim Johnson. Hi, Tim. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here, Mick.
Oh man, you're a man of few words on stage, so we're going to try and get you to talk today. I don't think that's your characteristic though. Like just having a quick brief with you, I think you're probably a good talker. So
I wasn't on stage to talk.
No, you're on Kick Ass and Chew Bubblegum, and you had no bubblegum.
Yeah,
that is for sure.
Wirt could have shared. He could have brought enough for the class.
I know Wirt's a good dude, man, but he does try and make you get a little bit nervous. Hey, man, so we're gonna talk a lot about Lancaster Classic this year, 2023. Vegas shows are ongoing as we're talking right now. Well, they're done now, but that's not you. We're going to talk about Lancaster. We want to talk a little bit about that. But before we dive into that really deeply, why don't you tell us about how you got into traditional archery, how you got into single string?
So I've always been kind of interested in archery. I mean, as a little kid, I made a little longbow out of just literally twine and a stick in the backyard. And I figured out, well, I didn't have any feathers, so I took duct tape and I made fletchings out of it. And like, I don't know, maybe the thing went 60, 70 feet. And I had a lot of fun with it. I just hit little targets and whatnot. And as an adult, that Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie came out. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's a good movie. I'm not going to say it at all.
No, it's not.
However,
good.
Like some of the stuff they did with archery looked pretty cool. And there was real archery in there. It's like, it'd be fun to get a longbow and just try that out. I mean, it's historical, and it took me quite a few years after that. I finally was like, I saw one at a store and I was like, that's $150. Yeah, I'll pick that up. 55-pound hill style, and it was called. I'm trying to think what it was called. I think it was Martin the Stick. And if you ever see one, don't shoot it. Just don't. Your elbow will thank you. It is a hand shocker for sure. So I got into that. I loved it. I didn't care. I was shooting 10 feet, missing the bag, but I loved it. And then I wanted to hunt, and I wanted to hunt ethical, so I got a compound. And I got pretty good with that pretty quickly. I mean, enough to kill a deer at 30 yards. I never went hunting with it, but it kind of got boring. I didn't enjoy shooting it. I wasn't working on anything. I was already in like that kind of zone, and it's like, this isn't for me. This is what I want to do. So I spent some time, and I got a couple different bows, worked through a few things, and I was like, okay, longbow is a lot of fun. This is great. Mostly shooting carbon arrows out of the bow. You know, carbons are cheap, they're consistent. I wasn't competing or anything like that. But then I got wind that like, there's like 3D competitions. Like I can go do stuff, and like locally. This is probably 2014 or 15, I think. And actually, one of my first couple shoots, I met Ken Rhinus. He's a local Michigan guy, and so him and I kind of hooked up with that. And I want to say that was about 2015 or so, and we shot quite a bit of those 3Ds. And back then, we weren't. There's nothing special about us. We're sitting there just trailing behind Jim Powell. He's been a big Michigan guy, kind of the name to beat around here. And so we're trailing behind him by 30, 40, 50 points on the 3D courses. And then I started to develop target panic. I could really identify, like, okay, this isn't right. I'm locking off target. This isn't good. And it's like, why am I doing this? So I drop bow weight. I make my first couple were 55. Then I got a 47, then a 44, finally a 40. And then in 2017, I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I got to bust this stuff. I enjoy shooting arrows. I like throwing darts. I like all of that. So I reached out, John Demmer, and I was like, what do you think? He's like, get low weight. Just get a Barebow. The GLO G2 is a decent enough riser. It's better than any of the Sebastian flute at the time. And get this rest. I got like a $500 Barebow setup, nice and lightweight. He's like, work through your shot. And that's kind of where my whole journey, I would say, into real competitive archery began. I had the desire for it before, but I didn't necessarily have the right. I wasn't mapping anything out. And then throughout 2018, um, I began really working on mapping out what it is to shoot a bow. Um, I know you're familiar with the works of Joel Turner. Helped
Yep.
me out a lot. Um,
Yep.
Ken and I, both big advocates of his. Kind of, if to hit on some of the hot topics about surround kind of Joel. There's some critics. If you can't listen to some coaching and take something from it, whether it be positive or negative, you're
Yep.
not listening right. You need to be able to listen and either apply it to yourself or go, oh, that's why it doesn't work for me. You should be able to learn something from everyone. Tom Clem Sr., I mean, he's got great information. There's several people have good information. And honestly, it's going like, oh, my system won't work with that because of this. You're just reinforcing your own system. And I had somebody recently go, oh, how'd you learn how to shoot? And I'm like, well, I can't say I did it myself, but it's more like I took pieces here and there, tried it, tested it, and go, I mean, if you look at me on stage, my elbow is bent. No coach is going to tell you to shoot with a bent elbow. But it's comfortable. No. And I'm trying to work through that and trying to straighten that out and get more
Does that come from compound maybe?
No, that comes from longbow. I have pictures of me shooting like 17, 18 my Barebow, like early 19. My arm's just nice and locked out. It's good. But I started shooting longbow, really extensively to try and make the 3D world competition for Team USA. And the hand shock from as best as I can tell, this is the best longbow I've ever shot. I've not shot anyone else's longbow that's better. It's a Timber Point Medusa, Yako Wessels for Timber Point. That's the way to go. They're still hand shocky, and I get that feeling, and it just alleviates in my tendons. It's like, okay, if I just break it just a little bit, still push. My muscles are engaged, but I'm not locked out. The muscles are very much engaged. It just feels more comfortable. But if I get fatigued, I do notice. Historically, I will bend a little more, and it drops out the bottom. Haven't noticed that this year or even last year when I was shooting Barebow, but I mean that's an example. And like I wouldn't say, that's a thing to pick up from me or anything like that. But when you go through those coaches, you'll pick things apart and just apply them to your system. And I've heard some archers who are really experienced get kind of frustrated when they go, well, you need to do this, this, this. And then the archer who asked the question doesn't follow that. It's like, well, maybe they tried it and they tried one piece of it and that's all they got to. And, the human brain works weird. You'll hear 3 pieces of advice and only take one and run with it. And then you need to hear the other 2 a couple more times till you actually, take it and go with it. So
I think marketing works that same way, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You got to hit multiple times with marketing. Yep. So that's interesting, man. So did you have a coach, or is it just like competing against Ken?
Ken kind of coached me here and there, and the Barebow crowd, we kind of critique each other. I mean, we help each other out, and it's like, oh man, I'm seeing this work on this, and I video myself. I have a drone. I get overhead of me myself and just kind of look at my alignment a little bit. It's not.
Awesome, dude, you're
oh yeah. I got the drone for unrelated reasons, and I was just like, wait a second.
Yeah, sure.
That's a great aerial overview. Like, no, a little more, a little deeper. Okay, yeah, and it's kind of
perfect, dude. That's perfect.
Like I said,
no, that's good. I think tech is great. I think this thing is the most important thing you have for training, other than the coach and getting a coach, a good coach. All right, so you got in pretty early, but then you live out in Michigan. Yep. You had some great competition that you could show up to tournaments for. Yeah, Scott Bills. Amazing archers. You're an amazing archer, no doubt there. You were shooting longbow.
Yes. I was going to get into that. So 19, I got my Timber Point, and I was like, we're doing 3D. And so I literally shot like between 2 and 3 times a day in my backyard every day.
Yep.
Sometimes it's 40 arrows, sometimes it's 120. And I'm just doing 2 shots at one distance, walking further. 2 shots, one distance, and just moving around, getting that 3D gap in, working my shot every distance. And I shot my longbow indoors too, because that shot execution is the same. The only thing that changes is the way you aim, and that's I'm gapping at 3D, where at indoor I'm point on. And I currently apply that to my Barebow strategy indoors because I'm comfortable with it. It's natural for me. I got years of practice on
Yeah,
that.
let's stop for a second. So if you go back and you look at the Lancaster, you might notice that elbow now. I didn't notice it, but Tim is up against the
Yep.
knock.
Same as Lee Wilkins last year.
Lee was as
Yep.
well, but he's a longbow guy too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's just you guys are comfortable with that feather under your
Well, I mean, that's
nose
an old school trad
or
thing, though. You think about
beside it.
like NFAA and like old school IBO, like RU. You had to bump the knock. String walking. Okay,
Yep.
forgive me. I never shot RU. I believe you still had to touch the knock on that. I don't think string walking was allowed back when we started. So if anyone of the critics out there, yeah. But I know NFAA
Someone will ask.
trad, you had a little stabilizer and you had to bump the knock, and so you had to like finagle
Yeah.
it. You maybe I want to hit a little lower. Well, raise that knock point, get your arrow to porpoise a little bit, detune it, and you can hit the middle. And thankfully, my current setup, I don't have to do that. It's a pretty decent arrow flight for what it is.
So what was the setup that you had at Lancaster?
So those are Carbon Express Maxima recurve RZs. Those were discontinued back in like 2019, 2020 thereabouts.
I know, but everyone shoots them still.
Well, because they're badass. They're a tri-spine, and I think the cost of making them just wasn't worth it for Faraday. Faraday bought them, and they're like, "Hey, Carbon Express is a great hunting arrow. We're gonna go with that brand." And they internally butchered it. Cleaned house pretty decently from what I understand, and very much just a typical corporate takeover. So they're great arrows. I mean, Denver shot those and won them last year for the 2022 Lancaster Classic. Those arrows he's shooting there. They're good arrows. I'm shooting 420 spine, which I'm kind of shocked they work.
420 spine.
They're heavy.
That's nice.
Well, they were free. Speaking of John Demmer, they were free. So we finished up 2019. He's like, I think I got some that might work based on what you tell me for your longbow. So I was just shooting my longbow forever, and the 420s didn't work for him. So they have 75 grain brass insert, and I have 125 grain point. I'm shooting pin bushing or knock bushings, which actually in the past week I've smashed 2 arrows, so I'm no longer shooting to single spots.
Oh, okay. So it did.
Oh
bust
yeah.
up.
Oh
okay,
no. Yeah. Okay. I shafted one on Saturday
it's
when
heavy.
I was kind of keep not warming up, but kind of keeping my groove, and I shafted one. It was right in the axe, and I go, "Hey Mick, this is you later." Trying to get in his head a little bit, but no, those arrows are great. I got I'm probably 15, 16 of them, but I'm trying to conserve them, just at least finish out this indoor season.
So what's next for you?
The so we got USA Indoor at the end of the month here. I'm shooting here in Michigan, and then if I do well enough there, I'll be the top 8. That would be a shoot off at Louisville for the NFAA. Doing NFAA as well, and then from there, I'm probably do some 50-meter stuff this year. I didn't do any last year. I'm hoping to do some 50-meter this year.
So you're going barebow. That's it.
I want to go where it's fun. Longbow is a lot of work. I mean, I think you heard about the Outlaws. I try to push things here and there, and there's a lot of infighting in the U.S. about what a longbow is. Like, oh, it's not a hill style, it's not a longbow. Oh, you have some micarta. That's not the spirit of the longbow. If you look at the rules and some of the changes that happened between 2019 and 2020, you can see some of the old guard pushing in on the rules. The USA Archery, they work off the traditional. They're not honoring the World Archery definition of what a longbow is. They have their own thing, and one of the things is minimal micarta. They put the word minimal in there, and I mean they're targeting bows like mine. Then all these like weird little niche rules. Just stick with the World Archery ones. It's worked well for barebow. Just follow that model. Like let's just follow that, and let's keep that going. If it worked for barebow, why wouldn't it work for longbow?
Yeah, it's a good point. But I mean, how could I guess you can argue the rules, and you can say, well, these rules fit me or they don't fit me. But then just go into the class that you like, right? Yeah. I guess, and I think that's what you're doing. You're really mature about it because obviously you're a great longbow shooter as well. And so, say, you know what? I don't like those rules. I'm going to go up in the barebow where I have the opportunity to tune my bow. Hey, I want to jump
into the 3D stuff.
Yeah,
man.
go ahead.
So 19.
Yeah.
I qualified for Team USA for 3D World Championships up in Lac-La-Biche, Canada. Ken Reyes was there. John Demmer, Dwayne Martin, Calvin Smock was also longbow. Randy Irvine was also longbow. A bunch of archers. I mean, there's a lot. I'm not going to sit here and list them all. John Winker. That's the last one I'm going to list because he was also on the stage. at Lancaster, which is awesome
Yeah.
to have him up there. So we went up there, did that. I
Yep.
ended up 5th overall. I did well in my elimination matches. I came up against Podiavelin. He's a Russian longbow guy. And I hit a brick wall because he nailed like 311s. Out of 6 arrows, he nailed 311s. I was smoked.
Wow.
I shot okay, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
no advancing past that. So I think the max score he could have had was
Yeah.
66. He shot like a 57. Yeah,
Wow.
he dropped 3 points. Like that's so I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So in 2020, pushed for the longbow outlaw for Lancaster, which Santo and Chris McCoy Johnson, she's kind of taking that on as well. They did great. I think they did like 33 or 35 this year. I started the competition longbow group on Facebook. Again, they took that over as well. Great resource if you want to shoot longbow. Get there. I mean, I think Lancaster will have a longbow class in the next couple of years at this rate. Yeah.
Yeah. And people love that. People love you speak of barebow close, longbow close,
Yeah. I mean, so I think in a competition, my best score is like a 5.17 or 5.18. 2020, I got the national championship for USA Indoor. I shot a little better than that in practice, but I mean, like, it's hard. There's a significant drop with that. I mean, I think Demmer's record is like 5.35 or 5.37 for a single day, which I mean is nuts. Longbow wood arrows, like that's great.
He did wood arrows with that?
Yep,
that
2019.
Score?
Yep.
Oh, he did. I didn't know that. That's pretty significant.
I mean,
man,
we had some stuff going on back then, and then pandemic happened. And I'm like, I'm gonna go mess around with some other stuff for a couple of years.
Yeah. You have other hobbies, eh? You're not just this one hobby guy. You like what were you like fishing? What else? I saw like frisbee golf. I saw.
Actually, I just played disc golf for the first time in like 4 or 5 months on Wednesday at an indoor league. Which what they had was the baskets are set up inside of a mall because malls are all dead now, so they just rented out a space in a mall.
Yeah, they are.
And it's almost like a 3D range. So they had 12 baskets and they had like weird obstacles and stuff. You had to like shoot your disc around it and stuff, and it was just a good time. You're just goofing off. And it's a really low stress because like archery, I compete in this. Disc golf is fun. And fly fishing is another one. That's another fun one. I got a drift boat and we go out on that. That's try to go fishing with John as often as I can. But yeah, that's another fun one. Not trying to put any pressure on it.
Where are you in Michigan?
Lansing, the capital area. So kind of more central, lower. Not a lot of trout around here. It's a good 2 hours, so I have to get a good trout stream from here. But
I grew up on the other side. I grew up in Windsor.
Yeah, you have the same stuff. There's some stuff, but you got to get like just a little further north, and Ontario has some good brook trout streams.
Yeah, some good fishing, decent fishing. I never fly fished. I love just regular fishing though. Hey man, so let's jump back a little bit into Lancaster and talk about that because we have a ton of things to talk about there, honestly. So I did the math, and I know you're I probably did the math too.
Myself.
So total of people being on the podium, I think it was 124 minutes I counted. You were on from minute 15:30 to 60. That is about 50% of the time. You were the show. There this year. I'm not gonna. So I saw. It's funny because I saw Demmer misses out wide, then comes back and shoots a 10, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you did such a great job," which he did. Hell right, he did a fantastic job. He didn't miss the target altogether, then come back and win around, and actually come back. And I think it was 11. Yeah, you hit paper, but dude, it was like that was an ugly miss,
man. It was a glitch.
Let's not sugarcoat it. It was ugly.
The first time it's happened. I mean, it's happened. It's been forgiving before. I had one time in the trials for the 3D championships, or to get to the team. I had one that it had the same kind of glitch, landed an 8, and I was like, oh, thank God. And then I recovered no problem. In 2019, I shot longbow in the NFAA in the trad class. I was up ahead by the guy by 6 points, and I blanked an arrow right. Like I almost hit an X on his target. I hit it. Yeah, I hit his target real good because you're paired up pretty well with that. And I hit his target, and all of a sudden it was a 1 point lead, and then that's how it finished. And I just kind of reset and got through it. Yeah, that match.
Okay.
33. That's the first time that happened on stage.
Shot at 33. That's what I was going to get to next.
The first time that happened on stage. Blanked a target. did a 1-arrow shoot off and hit an X on that. Like,
Yeah.
what is
X
that a
on
hat
a
trick?
one arrow
I mean,
shoot.
that's a. I think about it, it's a
Dude,
wild.
that's got to be
Well,
okay.
hang
We're
on.
gonna name it right now. We're gonna call it the
Oh
Michigan hat
shit.
trick. Trick. I'm gonna
Oh.
name this. I'm gonna get it out there on
Oh
social
no.
media. It's the Michigan
So
hat
I
trick.
literally.
Well, it's the
So
Johnson
we
hat trick.
tie it up, and my first thought was, my wife's at home watching this. She's probably like, "What did you do?" And I know she's stressing.
Oh
Like, I'm
no.
like, "Oh, she
Yeah.
doesn't like this, does it?"
Yeah.
And then I shot it, and I shot it. I was an X. I'm like, it's just perfect execution. And I was like, she still doesn't know yet because there's got to be a delay on the broadband. It's kind of like, I'm like, she's still sweating.
Yeah. Dude, you were the best show. So there was a lot. Everyone was really good, right? Everyone came to the show. But let's talk about you talking to Wirt for a second. So because of you, I wore this today because this is how you shoot. This is a Star Wars shirt.
Yeah.
This is my Star Wars shirt.
Rebels.
Right? You got to use the Force, right?
Well, I'm bumping the knock. I'm like, what am I going to say, man? I'm bumping the knock. Like, of course I'm going to tab. Like, I don't need it.
How do you shoot?
Use the Force.
Yeah, I'm using the Force. I thought that was hilarious, dude. And then you had your Yoast archery shirt on.
Me.
I make this.
He come up here and he's like, "That is ugly," and I'm like, "Oh, come on, man."
That's ugly. I make it look good, dude. I make it look good. It's funny. I just thought that was a very good moment. And again, you know how Lee was the heart of the show last year? Like, you were the heart of the show this year. I'm just going to say it. For 100%. You were up there most of the time. You had the best comebacks. You had the best shooting, the coolest, most interesting shooting. And to, again, shoot a 33. I've never shot a 33. Not on stage, not in my neighborhood, not in my backyard, not anywhere have I ever shot. And you shot on a 33 with, what's going to be 1 million people. Well, according to Wirt, 1 million people.
So I went back. I did watch it. I've watched the thing because I want to hear what Zernzak says because Zernzak's funny. It's great listening to commentary. I'm like, well, I want to at least see it again. And then listening to them talk about it, and it's like, yeah, that is kind of nuts, isn't it? Because it's like there's a right X, a left X, a middle X. And it's like I still am like, I did that. Like it's weird. Like looking back on it, but
it's only how perfect you had to be with imperfect pieces, like your body. I mean, your body, your hands, your fingernails, whatever, the Yoast tab, the sweat, the heat, the temperature, the arrows, to be that perfect.
Well, that kind of gets to Joel Turner's, kind of coaching here. I mean, like, your subconscious programs that. If you shoot enough, you know what you have to do. And so you just trust it.
Right.
You focus on the target, forget the aim, get in there, work your shot, and it just goes. Because you cannot hyper-focus the aim enough to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, you cannot. There's impossible. Your eyesight can't be that good that you can be it because you got no scopes on there. Like those 3Xs are as good as shooting a 30 in compound. It was crazy. No, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, I thought you did a really good job up there. I'm just saying. I know there's pressure. Were you feeling the pressure?
So let's just start with the morning. So I mean, I finished I think 7th overall, which still felt nuts. I mean, it's like, oh, damn. So we go to the next morning. My first match, I was pretty calm. The gentleman I was shooting with, he was a little nervous for his first end. We were actually shooting practice, and he shot his 3rd arrow, and I said, you can shoot more than 3 arrows here on practice. Just get to your groove. You're here. And so he shot a few more. He's like, oh, thanks for that. It's good to know. Second one, he kind of dialed in a little better. And the first one was scoring. He definitely, that this is for score, like that thing that happens at tournaments. And it was like,
yeah, I know.
Like you're like here, and all of a sudden, so he did that, and we kind of talked in between. I'm like, listen, you earned your spot here. You qualified. This is yours. Shoot your shot. Like, get into it. Do what you do. And he literally gained like 2 or 3 points after that first end. That did eliminate him, but no, he was. It's great to see people who are like, yeah, this is what I'm here to do. Second match, actually, going into the 4th round, I was down by I think 2 or 3 points. So I was almost booted on that one. And one of the things I think I want to say contributed to it, we had a long delay between match 1 and 2, 45 minutes or an hour. Like, it was ridiculous. And then there's no more practice after that. So you have the first practice and then like 45 minutes downtime, and like no excuse, not making excuses. It was just, it was kind of, I mean, it probably phased me a little bit. I did come back in that fourth end. I scored pretty well. And I think I won that one by just a couple points, 2 or 3 points. And then I faced off against Dwayne. I was nervous as hell, but it wasn't against Dwayne Martin. It was because there was 12 arrows between me and the stage. And that was hard. Because it's like, in Barebow, I can't say there's a bigger or better place to be than on that stage. I don't know what world archery, national, world medals, world championships, you get that much. It's the thing to do in Barebow. And so, like, knowing that had just a few arrows between that, I was nervous. And so it's like, and I tell you, I felt like I shot like crap. I don't think the score was that bad. I mean, there was people who were shooting better, don't get me wrong, but how I was shooting, it wasn't as bad as I felt, thankfully. We kind of went, it's always just a few points. I mean, any one arrow could have decided that match in a heartbeat. But it came down, I got him at 2 points. And the first thing, I scored it, and I was like, shoot. Because I was like, I'm going to be on stage, and if whatever happens there is going to live, it's going to be immortalized. It's going to be the next, yeah.
Forever, I mean, just like this video, just like this interview.
I'm not sure you're going to have that many views, but yeah. And also, I mean, like, who's Tim Johnson?
Who's Tim Johnson? For sure will.
So the thought is like, oh shoot, I did it. And then still confident, still in the shot, still, very much mentally there. And then we signed the cards, and all of a sudden it hit, like, emotional release. I just spent the past 6 months preparing for this. I spent the past, since 2017, 18, trying to get on that stage, and that emotional release of all that effort coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell some of the photos up there, like, my eyes, just emotional release. If I would have won that tournament, I would have dropped to the floor crying. I almost guarantee it. Now, but you can see when I'm shooting, no, it's 100% focus. Yeah. So that happened. I literally was like, I got to get away from these people. I don't need all these people around. I went and hid behind the bathroom, called my wife, nearly sobbing, like, I did it, I made it, but the signal, it was one of those can you hear me now moments, because she couldn't hear me. And I'm sitting here having this emotional moment, and she's like, you made it great. Hello?
And you need
hello?
that.
And I'm like, she's like, I can't hear you. And I'm like,
yeah. That's so terrific, dude. That is so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
I know you're a family man, so like I can just feel that for you, right? I can empathize with that. Just getting off stage and just being, because like I said, 50%
this
of the time,
this is the eliminations to get to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the eliminations. Sorry. Yeah, we're in the eliminations still. Yeah. But you were kicking in eliminations. Yeah. So hey, I'm gonna pause right there because you did beat Dwayne Martin, and I just want to. So I gotta pay a few bills here. I just want to make sure that we get my sponsors in here. And I just want to say, CD Archery, they're starting to sponsor this channel. So if you get a chance, they have great bows. Tim doesn't shoot one, but Dwayne does. And unfortunately, he didn't win that one, but they have been up on stage a lot. So CD Archery, make sure that you go check them out. Archerypass.com, great trad gear. We talked a little bit about longbows and stuff like that. They have awesome. They're one of the first wood bow manufacturers in the United States. I think that's true. And I just want to give a shout out to something new and kind of interesting for my listeners. I'm going to be affiliated with the Push Archery. That's why I'm wearing this hat. I don't normally push other channels, but had a quick conversation with Matt yesterday. We're going to talk about the videos that they put up. They have an amazing, and Tim talked a little bit about shot IQ and all the things that Joel does. So head over to Push Archery and
push pack. Yep.
And the push pack from Demmer, all those packs. Those are all helpful. Have you seen any of them? Have you did any of them?
At the very least, I wanted to see what they put up there. Want to support my friend. I mean, definitely get that one. It is underpriced, so get it before they raise it. Yeah.
That's a good point. And you use the link, use my link below, so they know that you came from here. You heard it from here, all right? Okay, cool. All right, so getting back to that, so we stopped there. We went we went to the qualifications, right? You're now qualified. What seed were you? You were seed. You
Yeah,
were
so
number
that
three.
I clearly didn't shoot that well because I got bumped down. So people above me got knocked out, and then I still came out sixth. So I mean, my numbers in elimination just wasn't as high as some of the other ones there. So I had more work to do, which whatever that is, it is. I ended up coming out sixth, so bumped up one spot. But like I said, people above me got knocked out. I was going to say a little more of like the journey here. So I did that, and I'm just like, what? Your brain's like, what's going on? And thankfully, I'm pretty good friends with Ryan Davis, and he's like, cool, you did that. Let's get out of here. And I'm like, that sounds really good. And he thankfully had a hotel room at the Nook, and so we went up there, dropped my gear off. Nothing get tampered with. I don't have to break anything down. Just set it all there, and we got some food. And he really just like coached me and walked through. I mean, like, he was exactly what I needed for that day, because he's been there. He knows, like, hey, you're going to be in a pressure cooker for the next 7 hours. And I tell you, the anticipation was so much worse than being on the stage. Just knowing that's coming. And he's like, it ended up being like 50 degrees that day. We went for a walk. We did like a 2-mile walk outside. Because like we had like 8 hours to kill. It's a long time. We got food, and then he's like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the range, 3-4 hours before, and it's every like 10 minutes you're gonna go shoot 3 arrows." And we end up working through some stuff and talking to people, and other people were up there. I probably shot 300 arrows on Saturday, and it was kind of worked through it, and just kept the grind going, and just trying to get through it. So then he's like, "Hey, go ahead."
You have.
Yeah.
So no, keep going. Keep going. I want to talk. I do want to get to your shot process too, because it's so unique and interesting. But keep going.
He's like, "Hey, we're eventually going to transition to the back room there. They got the lighting there, and we're going to play on those bales and kind of make sure you're dialed in." And so I was doing well in the practice range. Things were hitting great for me. So we get to the practice bales that are kind of back there. If you haven't seen them before, there's video here and there, pictures. There's 2 bales set up side by side. They have 4 targets on it. The lighting's mimicked to the stage. It's not perfect. No one says it's perfect. Even on there, I did notice that like the lighting's different, and so he had me literally shoot every target repeatedly. We were probably there for 45 minutes to an hour. I noticed I had to take like a good full turn of my plunger. Oh no, sorry, half turn of my plunger to get hitting down the middle. And he's like, "Okay, cool. Do that. Now give me another half turn. Let's make sure that's a positive result." Like, he was just he's game face. Like, that guy he's a competitor. And so it's really good to have someone at that level in your square. And so we worked through that, and things were hitting great. I mean, I came out, hit a 9 down the middle. So I mean, those adjustments worked. They transitioned well. I had Ken Rhinus being my arrow advocate. He's also a good competitor. He's somebody who's going to stick up when he thinks something should be a certain way. He has the experience to do that. He's been on Team USA twice for 3D archery. So just overall, I kind of had some good support going up there on stage.
So
I mean, that brings me to the stage. I came out, and everything went well from Davis, and like I said, I had the support from Ken. It was good.
I was trying to look. I was looking him up, Ryan, just to get. I was going to get so I could get a picture from you and put him up here. So because I wanted to note that while you're up on stage, he must have been really good, and you're telling us he's really good. You looked over, great guys like Ryan Davis right behind you, right? And I thought that was a great shout out, dude.
So
it's just such
there was
a nice
an
thing to
awkward moment. I'm sitting there. So the first and against John Winker, I'm pretty nervous. The arrows don't look. I mean, looking at the video, I don't think it shows as well. Those were prayers. Like, that was not good shooting. That was luck. It was
really?
luck meets a lot of arrow form. I was nervous. After the first one, I stared at him for a good like 90 seconds, and just straight eye contact, and just the nerves, but just seeing his face, it's just like, no, you shot with him. Just kind of grounding myself around that. And then the fourth end,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of calmed down. It's like, no, you know what to do. You either do that or you look like an idiot. So do what you know to do. You've been here before. You understand
Yeah.
what it is to put it in the middle. Do that now. And then after that fourth end, it was pretty zen. It things
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
it
Winter.
is weird. I don't know how to describe it other than that, like, things did get pretty zen after that.
Really, that's so cool to
Yeah.
hear that. That's cool because again, it's your body taking
Yep.
over. What that shot is. But yeah, it was interesting. Winker. It kind of all came
Yeah.
together for you because Winker doesn't normally shoot that
He
at
shot
core line.
great against
So the
Ellis. I mean,
pressure.
that was a good. Those are good numbers. I didn't
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
that
yeah,
match until
yeah.
after the fact, and I was like, damn.
I know. And then you came on stage. You must have stared him down or something.
I don't know what it
Like,
was. He saw that Yost jersey and he's like,
and
oh,
you,
it's too damn ugly.
I can't do. It's too much. It's too much, man. It's too much. It's good though. And then Mick Fisher
Yep.
got on stage. He didn't
I
shoot
tell
all
you,
that
he nailed
great
that 11 off the
against
bat.
you
I'm like,
yesterday.
all right, we got to put the work in here. I'm
I
like,
know. Here we go.
all right, let's do this.
Dude, you came back really good. I mean, all your stuff. So you shot a 31 as well. I don't want to undersell
That
that.
was my
You
last
shot
round. It
31.
was a 31. Yeah, I
Yeah,
finished out.
you
Yep.
shot 31.
And
And
hindsight, I guess I should have pushed the 12, but my brain just wasn't there. I couldn't get the math right because I mean Matt beat me by one. I should hit
right,
the 12, and
1 point,
he didn't make any
1 point,
mistakes. I mean,
one
where was
point.
his 7? Where was his 6? He didn't come out with any nerves. He just
I don't know where this guy
I
came
got I
from,
got a little
dude.
more
I don't
insight.
know.
So he
Like
actually
I'm.
knows Davis pretty well. So he's been a 3D guy. He's been a longbow guy. I
Yeah,
mean, all the greats come from longbow. Even John Demmer started with a longbow.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
no,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's been
I know.
doing stuff. You check his Instagram. He's got some pictures on there. He's been doing stuff. He started the Barebow like really getting competitive a year ago. So he did have a
Yeah,
short
yeah,
journey
yeah.
in this. Like, I mean, once he like turned his focus here, he clearly has done well. I mean, I think when he finished third at Vegas, third. So I mean,
Third,
yeah. So
third. Yeah, yeah,
stellar performance
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Back-to-back weekends.
So I know I was like like
Yeah,
you, like everyone. I want to get my viewers to see the amazing shooters get their feeling and what they've been feeling while they were on stage, that sort of thing, so they get a little bit of insight into Lancaster and just promote
oh yeah,
Lancaster some more too. I know the barebow group is growing. We want to grow the longbow group, but that's what I want to do. So I reached out to him as well, and I'm like I'm doing a search on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, him and I talked a couple
yeah. There
years
you go.
ago, and I was like in my live Chrissy
Yeah,
Lyons and I did a live thing, and we're kind of like, I don't know you that well, I don't know him that well. I was just like, okay, where are these guys coming? And you're Team USA, so that's embarrassing for me. But it's
I
one of
took a
those
couple
things,
years
right?
off,
It's
pandemic, pause.
Yeah, but it's so good to see. And then, yeah, you're kind of doing that Grayson Parlow kind of. Where did he go to? Sort of thing. But I talked to him too. I really love to
Grayson's a
talk to
great
him.
guy.
I hope he.
Yeah.
Fantastic dude. From everything I've heard about him. But anyway, so all right. Again, you were the star of the show. I'm just gonna say you were the star of the show. It was it was the most exciting, cool thing. I thought we were doing a Lee Wilkins again, sort of feeling, like that's how you were like that cool dude that's just getting up there, and I want to talk about your shot process. So you get up there and you're shooting. I'm like, wait a second, I don't know how does that work. I mean that's really really cool. It's like you look like you're pulling back 15 pounds. Like it literally looks like you're pulling back 15 pounds, and it's just a very, you feel it looks relaxed. It's just, and then it's gone, and it's in the 11. How do you do that?
You
Take
got
us
to
through your
shoot a
shot
lot.
process. Yeah. Okay. No,
My
I want a
PO box. You
secret.
send me $5.99 to my PO box, and then
Yeah. All
there's
right.
not. I mean, so I'm not trying to cop out. There's not a secret to it. I mean, so I'm a big fan of body mechanics. In general, I mean, like, don't lift things you shouldn't be lifting the way you should be lifting them. So I'm pulling 39 on my finger right now. I'm partly like tuning to my arrow because I have these arrows that are, unicorn arrows that shoot well. So
Yeah.
I probably would be shooting like 37, 38 if I wasn't pulling this. I was last year. These arrows seem to like a little more poundage to them. The length of them and the weight, I'm able to point on, and I do like a figure 8 with a gold in the point. As far as the comfort, I mean, that's the same shot I've been doing for. So I say figure 8 is like gold and then shaft. They kind of, and then sometimes it gets here, maybe sometimes a little bit there, depending on what's going on.
Oh, I
Yes.
see what you're saying. Oh, okay, it's not like where you're holding the gold. It
No, I
comes
mean
like the
literally
figure 8.
snowman. So it's like not lollipop, but
Snowman,
snowman.
yeah.
2 points together, and that's
Right.
usually a pretty good point off me. Same for my longbow.
So you're in the red. Your point's
My
in the
point
red.
touches the gold. Yep.
Touches the gold.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it would be including the red and some of the blue and all below it.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, so that's the same shot I did in longbow. So I mean, this is the same thing they've been working on for 4 years. So I mean, it makes sense. Like you said, it looks like I'm pulling 15 or whatever, and it's not. It's just this is the same thing I've been doing. And so just taking that shot that I'm comfortable with, feel familiar with, and just keep working it.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know how you do. Like, sorry, man. It's 33 on stage, a 31 on stage for the very last end. Losing by 1 point to the guy who went on to win it all. Just amazing.
Yeah.
You were shooting amazing. You're shooting. And did fatigue enter into that? Then is that why you maybe?
I questioned. So I mean, my second end was a 26 against Matt, and then the next one was a 25. There's got to be something to it. I mean, I was dog tired. I woke up at 5 a.m. that day. I mean, tournament weekends, I don't sleep well in general. I woke up at 5 a.m. that day, and then on top of that, basically the entire day, there's adrenaline coursing through my veins. That can't be normal. You know what I mean? Like fatigue has to play a role. It's not that I can specifically target like, oh yeah, it's this or that. It was just a little sloppy, a little lazy. That's where it creeped in, and like that's it. I mean, that 26, that 25, that's where I gave it up. So,
dude, okay, why the hell would anyone want to do this?
Okay, I said it for 8 hours. I said to Davis, I said, "Why the hell did I do this? Why am I doing?" He's like, "You don't want to be where I'm at. You want to be where you're at." I'm like, maybe. I'm not sure, man.
Maybe not.
Because it is. It's a pressure cooker. I mean, it really is.
It's just amazing that you guys can be so good under so much pressure. I'm amazed by it. But in your life, have you been like this before? Have you been calm under pressure?
So the behavior that I saw watching the video and like how I felt was reminiscent to my shoot offs at World Archery. I put together a good game at home. The famous phrase, you can only bring to a tournament whatever you built in practice. And if you're confident in that structures you built in practice and you can bring that to a competition, you will do well. Yeah. Don't expect anything more than that.
Okay.
Probably expect a little less. But when I'm on that stage, my choice was either like freak out or cling to my shot process. And the shot process is the only thing that's going to save me. And so it's
okay. You haven't told us the shot process.
I have. I did the Push podcast a couple of years ago. So I mean, as far as the shot process goes, I mean, like you set everything up. I mean, I'll break this down for more of a beginner listener, I guess. So I mean, you want to make sure your alignment to the target is comfortable, especially on the stage. You look at where Brian Way was. He was way back because he was comfortable there. That wasn't where I was comfortable. So like you can set your alignment there. These larger national tournaments, you get 30, 36 inches to line up. Make sure your alignment's good. You feel normal to the target. That's it. I mean, a little bit here, psychologically, the foot a little more forward. Okay, that's better for where the target's at me. You get this a lot in 3D too, because 3D is a way different terrain. You're not perfectly on a line.
Yeah.
Make sure your bow grip's set, arrow's set. Get your crawl or bump in the knock. Make sure your fingers feel good the way you're used to them feeling. You're doing that draw up, and then always a pause. Your muscles just did this huge weird activity. Give it a second. Let the oxygen return. Let the muscles release the way they're supposed to. get your aim there, forget about your aim, watch the goal, and then do whatever you do to pull through to execute your shot.
That's great. See, that little piece in there, right? That little piece in there that you just said is so important, right? It's get your aim, then forget about it,
If
and
you have a
execute the
compounder,
shot.
they're not going like, is my spot on that? Am I spot on that? They go, spots on, and then they focus in on the target, and there's a float. The same thing with anything. You're looking at the target, and your subconscious watches where it's supposed to go in front of you, and then that's where it's going to go. And you know what? You might hit an 8. You might hit a 9. It might have felt amazing. Forget it.
Yeah.
Get back to it. There's a fluke in that one. The next one's going to be a 10. You got to forget about it.
Tim, with that, we try and keep these interviews a little bit shorter so that people can just enjoy them really quick and they don't feel. So I really appreciate you joining us today. Again, 100 times I'll say it. You were the star of that show. I'm sorry you didn't win. You put on a great show. I think that what you did and the way you competed helped to. You did such a great job that I'm glad that a million people are going to see it, because I think that people are going to see you and they're going to say, I want to do barebow. I want to be a single stringer. And they're going to listen to this interview and know that they can start off with a longbow and still reach, the stage. Yep. So, dude, I just want to say thank you very much on behalf of the whole trad community. You just were just an amazing representative. So thanks very much. I appreciate you.
Is this where we say get primal, or is that a different one?
I'm associated. Okay, we're associated with those guys, but affiliated with those guys. But I still got my own stuff. I want to do my own thing, and so I don't want to confuse anyone. But I do. But our sponsors have been really good, and that's what helps us make this show even better. So I appreciate you, man. And is there anything else you need to say before we go? You want to tell people how to get hold of you if they want to chat with you?
Come to shoots.
Come to shoots. All right, man. How about Instagram? Can they hit you up on Instagram?
Yeah. I think it's Tim in Dummit. Just
it's not. It's JT.
Oh shoot! It did change. TJ Archer. Shoot, I finally got back on Facebook. It's TJ Archer on Instagram and Facebook. I got that back going because I was like, all right, I'll get back on Facebook. I've been off a couple of years. I don't miss it, but I'm just gonna do it for the archery stuff.
Do it for the archery stuff, dude. We like to watch. We like to follow.
It's a good way to communicate. I mean, it's almost like a telephone now. Like you kind of need Facebook for it. I do the archery abroad stuff, and like you got to have Facebook.
Absolutely, man. Okay, all right. Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for sticking around this long. Hunt the good stuff. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
Bye.